Hey, and welcome to No Two Gays About It. I'm Tom Burke.
And I'm Michael Foley.
And Michael and I are basically the odd couple of the gay world. Completely different guys, completely different backgrounds, completely different lives, but we are both over the age of 50, and we thought it was important to bring our voices to the conversation, so we're here to talk about all things happening out there in the world with a mature gay perspective.
True that. And today we're going to be talking about Cocaine Bear, which we're very excited about. And then Nikki Haley, quite a transition into that. Okay. And then some gay marriage we're going to be talking about, and folks over 50 and all that fun stuff.
And of course, we're going to do my favorite segment of our show, which is the Savage Side Eye.
Yes.
Where one of us will say who's been bugging us or what's been bugging us this week. But that will all come later. Michael, what's happening with you lately? What's new and exciting?
New and exciting is we're getting some great feedback for what we're doing here.
Nice.
Which is really great. And I got this really funny communication with one of our listeners from Canada, who is a Patreon subscriber.
Nice.
Hi, Alana Crawford. How are you?
Hello,
Thanks
Alana
for
Crawford.
subscribing.
Sure.
And she asked me if I knew what our show was called up there. And that's exactly the look I got.
In
you just
Canada, don't they speak English?
Yeah. Well, not in Montreal. They speak French.
Oh,
but
yeah.
She's not from Montreal. She is from Trail, Canada. And I was a little hesitant to respond back and say, what is it? And actually, it made me laugh out loud. So we are No Two Gays About It. I watched South Park, so it probably had a bit more meaning to me because of Terrence and Phillip. But, you know, that's the Canadian, the about as opposed to about.
Totally got that. Awesome.
So,
yeah.
You know what? It gave me a chuckle, and sometimes that's all I need.
Right? You just got to take it where you can get it.
Yeah. So what's happening with you? What's new?
Well, yesterday was a big day. I had a little luncheon at my home, as one does, and I had a couple come over. I went to a private all-boys prep school, of course, and it was taught by Christian brothers. One of the guys that was a year ahead of me, who was, of course, in the plays with me, he went on to become a brother. Well, I heard from him last week. I have not seen or spoken to him in 44 years.
Wow.
Right? Well, he's visiting out in Palm Springs with his husband, so he's no longer a Christian brother. But it was actually kind of fun to see him and kind of catch up over 44 years. But his partner is really great. My husband loved him. So it was kind of like a fun little thing that just came out of the blue. It was awesome.
Wow. That's really amazing. Yeah, I had that experience right before COVID, actually. I got together with some people I went to high school with who I hadn't seen in probably that long. And it was weird. Did you experience we fell right back into it. There was no lag. It felt so comfortable.
Yeah.
And familiar. And it was just like there was no time that happened in between.
Awesome.
Did that happen for you guys?
Well, we weren't like really close friends. You know, like I said, he was older than I was. I did know him. I believe he dated a friend of mine.
Could I ask if
female?
Was it okay, that was my question.
Dated a female, as we all did when you were going to a private all-boys prep school. I dated so many females. I went to so many proms, you know, because all of the other girls' schools, because they were all segregated, had proms and dances. And we were all there. You know, of course, they wanted to ask the gay guys because we dressed well. We had great cars. We danced well. You know, we were fun. We weren't just like those straight guys getting drunk in the parking lot. But anyway, so you mentioned something about Cocaine Bear.
I did. So I was in LA when I was with a group of friends in LA, and when we went to the movies and we saw this trailer,
Uh-huh.
all of us sat there with our jaws hanging open because it was like you were on this intense acid trip and just going, "What the fuck is this?" And then at the end of the trailer, this was the thing that caught us. Across the screen came based on a true story, and all of us were like, what the fuck?
Right.
So we made a pact that we were going to see this movie together. So I'm going to LA tomorrow and we're going to watch it. So it is actually based on a true story about a duffel bag full of cocaine that drug smugglers were dropping along the border so that, folks could pick it up and sell it. But a bear got into it.
Fantastic.
And apparently became hooked on cocaine and goes on this insane rampage. And I think, we spoke about this in a previous episode where sort of horror and black comedy is my wheelhouse. I love that. It's a great distraction for me. And I'm assuming you're not going to be seeing Cocaine Bear.
No, I might. It was directed by Elizabeth Banks, right?
Yes.
Who is an incredibly funny human being. I know this is her third film she's done. She did the Charlie's Angels, the 2019 version. She did one of the Pitch Perfects, but she has been in so many great, not only films, but sitcoms as well. She was on Not Matters, Modern Family, which I also heard that Jesse Tyler Ferguson is in this movie. So that's probably where that connection came. And unfortunately, or I don't know if it's unfortunate, but isn't this Ray Liotta's last film that he did? Yeah.
It's sort of, it could be huge because it has that.
Right.
It looks like it could be this massive cult, have this massive cult following. Like, with the Xanadu, that was Gene Kelly's last film. And
okay. I
don't know.
That.
It's a lovely way to be remembered. As far as I'm concerned, it kind of warms my heart that was, you saw him dancing and singing again in a film. And, I have a affinity for Xanadu, as you know, because I have a Xanadu themed arm tattooed. So.
Yeah. You know what? I think we need to have a picture of that and put that on our Instagram, which is at No2 gays about it. So please follow us on Instagram and you can see Michael and I, the odd couple of the gay world, living our best lives. And Michael, please take a shot of your Xanadu tattoo because it is
absolutely will.
Really something to see in real life.
And one of the best things that happened in regard to that tattoo is I got to show it to Olivia Newton-John. And
wow,
she was so struck by it. And I did something a little evil because,
you
I had
are
a streak. She was so taken by it. And then the story that I told her of why I have it and what prompted it. And then she said,
well, I'm sorry, you can't say that without telling us what the story is. So what is the story?
All right. I thought I was going to get away with this one time.
Nope.
So I saw Xanadu the year it came out in the theater, way back in 1980. And it just, I was this, I won't say in the closet. It just, I didn't have my family yet, my chosen family. And it struck a chord in me. And there was a line that Gene Kelly said in the movie, "Dreams don't die, we kill them." And it resonated so deeply with me. And then the whole fantasy aspect of it. And as you know, my dream wasn't to open a roller disco, but it was just to find my place. And then soon after that, I did. And just it always resonated with me on such a deep level. And so I told that to Olivia, and she was really moved. And I also thanked her for it. And it was also her most stunning. She was flawless and just really ethereal in that movie. But anyway, she said, "Can I take a picture of it?" And I went, "No, And the look on her face, because she thought I was serious,
Uh-huh.
was one of complete shock, because I had just taken a picture with her, you know, to put up on Facebook and everywhere. But and then I went, "I'm kidding," and she just busted out laughing. I was like, "Oh my God, I really thought you were serious."
Awesome.
So yeah, and it's, they say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
I have been really fortunate in the people that I've met in the industry and have got to spend some time with, and they've been some of the most lovely people you would ever want to meet. And Olivia was one of those.
Fantastic. So I think another one of your biggest women heroes is Nikki Haley. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, how do you not just bathe in the awe and wonder that is Nikki Haley? Did you happen to see her announcement for her presidential run?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I'm actually holding back my breakfast right now because it's coming up a little. So at the beginning before she spoke, did you catch the pastor who happened to speak?
No, I just saw clips.
Yeah. So his name is John Hagee. And John has this really colorful background. And her choosing him to give the prayer, as you would have it, before her speech was a shot across the LGBTQ community's bow. Because this is the man who said Katrina was God's way of punishing New Orleans because of the gay pride parade.
Oh.
And he is a rabid anti-LGBTQ person. And that is who she chose to give the prayer. And this man is so reprehensible that in 2008, he endorsed John McCain. John McCain came out and said, "I don't want your endorsement. I'm not acknowledging it. Take it back." That's how reprehensible he is. And what's mind-boggling is that's how far the Republican Party has fallen in 14 short years. That, you have this icon who was John McCain.
Right.
Who, at one point, I honestly was considering voting for him, and then Sarah Palin came along, so that was out the window. Because, back then I was struggling with the Democrats' lack of commitment to our community in regard to the marriage equality issue. And so I always had the utmost respect for John McCain, and I still do. And to see how far they've fallen, and Nikki Haley being a huge part of that dissension.
So tell me, what are the things that she is espousing?
So Nikki believes that I want to get the actual name of it correct, the parental rights in education, which is, we know now, is the Don't Say Gay bill.
Okay.
Doesn't go far enough. She believed that it's timid on Ron DeSantis's part, that she feels it,
how can it
period,
go?
the end of sentence, anything gay related or gay conversation should be completely out. And this is one of their false flags kind of things where they talk about, well, we believe this is about sex education being taught in kindergarten through third grade, and it shouldn't happen. Well, the reality is it doesn't happen. It never happened. It never will happen. What this law did was prevent a child who has same-sex parents from going into school and talking about what they did on their weekend with their parents.
Right.
That's shut down. So it's nothing about sex education. It's just sharing a portion of a child's life in a classroom environment where everybody else is doing the same.
Well, what does she want more from that then?
More restrictions, she opposes marriage equality. She wants to take away our rights, which is basically the Republican platform right now. She believes that trans rights are the beginning of the end of civilization, and also believes that it's the end of women's sports as we know it, which is a crock, because there are trans athletes, but the percentage is so minute that it's a non-issue.
Right.
And they take this red meat and throw it to their base and completely distract them from the fact that the states that they live in and are responsible for are literally falling apart. Wow. Poverty is the highest as it is anywhere in the country. And, you give them red meat and it just distracts them enough that they're not focused on the actual issues that are confronting them in their everyday life.
So tell me a little bit about her. I know that she was in Trump's cabinet, but before that,
she was the ambassador to the UN.
Okay,
she was the governor of South Carolina.
That's what I wanted to know. So,
and in South Carolina, she gutted HIV funding and awareness in the state, so it basically became non-existent. Wow. And ironically, South Carolina in 2012 was the last information I could get on it. Was they had the highest rate of new HIV transmission cases.
Well, of course they did.
And
right?
it was in heterosexuals.
Wow.
And Black women were hit the hardest.
Yeah.
And she takes all of the money out of the funding for AIDS awareness and HIV awareness. So that's who she is.
Do you have any idea where she came from before being governor? I know she's Indian. Is that correct?
Yes.
Her heritage? Yeah.
Yes.
But
so
then...
her...
She just showed up in South Carolina and took over the Republican Party?
As most politicians do, they start locally and then work their way up. And she just became one of those outspoken folk, like the few whose names I'm not going to mention in the Republican Party right now, who all of a sudden it's like, where the fuck did you come from?
Right.
And for some of them, it's the bottom of the bowl.
Is she campaigning on anything other than this?
No.
No. Wow.
Nope.
Okay.
There wasn't a single issue she discussed really. I mean, they use their talking points, blames Biden for everything, while neglecting to point out that he inherited a colossal mess. Basically the only accomplishment of the Trump years was a tax cut for the rich. For 4 years, we heard about the new healthcare plan that was going to be coming for middle America to get rid of Obamacare, and yet nothing. And pretty much every day was infrastructure day. We were going to have a new infrastructure plan worked out. That never happened, never came to pass. But why? Because he got tax cuts for the rich, and basically that was good with him.
Right.
And then should we bring up COVID? How do you handle that? How'd that go? It's going to magically disappear by Easter. Oh, it doesn't exist. It's a hoax. And then you have over 1 million people who are dead.
So did she not tell her last boss, Trump, that she wasn't going to run? And now isn't this like a big slap in his face?
Yeah, she did. And she did an interview where somebody asked her that question directly. And she said, well, things have changed now.
Wow.
Surprise. He's not the same person he was, and I'm not the same person I was. And so it's okay now. I did hear an interesting idea from one of the pundits, and because she did announce really early. Yeah. She's way ahead of the pack. And usually what happens is that person falls to the wayside very early as well. That this was her move to get on the VP ticket.
Oh, okay.
For either Trump or DeSantis. More than likely DeSantis.
Yeah, I can't imagine Trump. Anyone who goes against Trump is his enemy. So I can't imagine he would take her on, right?
Yeah, I doubt. And well, the interesting thing is, because I can't listen to him anymore, I refuse to, and also it makes my head want to explode and bleeding from the ears ensues. But I did hear somebody say that he attacked her and Ron DeSantis in one of his last stump speeches. So,
well, of course he did.
Yeah, I mean, surprise.
All right. Well, it looks like it's going to shape up to be some very exciting things to watch. Right?
Yeah, and absolutely. And considering, her stance on gay marriage and marriage equality, I know that's something near and dear to your heart, and I know that's something you want to talk about today. So
it is, and well, first of all, I watch a lot of television. I am my real job out in the real world. I'm an image consultant for actors, so I have to watch pretty much everything that's out there. So I see who's being cast in what, how are they packaging these actors, all of that stuff. But I absolutely love reality television. I always have, and I just always will. One of the shows I've been watching, and how funny is this to transition from a Indian woman who is taking away gay rights or wants to take away gay rights to the show I watched the other night, which was Family Karma, which is a Bravo show, and it centers around all of these immigrant Indian families who now have been established. They all live in Florida, and now it's the second and third generations of the kids in their lives. Well, there is a gay couple on this show, which is groundbreaking in itself, but then also because it is an Indian family, and India is a very conservative culture. But they're having this whole season is about this gay wedding and preparing for it and the families. It's an interracial family. There's a white guy and the Indian guy. The Indian family are so supportive of this couple. It's great.
Wow, that's wonderful.
But it's the white guy's family who do not want anything to do with this. They don't want to be on camera. They've consented to come to the wedding, but please don't put us, because everyone in our church is going to see us, really sad. However, I love the show. I think this is great. The fact that we are now having this visual gay wedding on television, and it's an Indian wedding. Have you ever been to an Indian wedding, Michael?
I have not, but I have seen some, and wow.
Yeah, they go for days. It's all of this performing and changes of clothing. It's just crazy, really spectacular. Anyway, so I'm watching this, and then I was reading articles about this couple, and they're a young professional couple. They're in their 30s, and the Indian guy was saying that, now he's in his 30s. He's a lawyer. He's established in his career, and he feels now it's time to take that next step, which to him would be getting married. And that just made me start thinking about, gay marriage and who is getting married. I mean, we fought for this right to be married. And in my world, which, I'm a couple. I've been married. May 10th will be our 35th anniversary. But all of our friends are basically married. I counted, we have 3 single friends. You are one of them, Mike. Exactly. But everyone else around me basically is married. We live in Palm Springs. Our street is filled with all of these gay couples who've been married for one couple 48 years. Another couple just had their 45th anniversary.
That's awesome.
We are, we're nothing. Being at just 35, we're the chickens out there. But anyway, so that was made me think like, okay, well, who is actually getting married? So I started doing some research on this, and I did find out that it is this 30-year-old, 30 to 40-year-old group of gays that are mainly the ones getting married. And then I was wondering, like, well, why aren't the guys our age, these over 50 males, who are the ones who have been out there fighting for this right, who have been fighting for not only marriage equality, but equal rights and, fighting the whole AIDS epidemic. And it's been a constant fight for us. And I know that the moment we were able to get married, my husband and I were like, yes, this is happening, right? So again, I have to pull up some of these things. I did some more research about this. I really wanted to know why and who are getting married. Gallup poll for the year. They do this every year. So age group. First of all, it was by couples. Gay couples aged 25 to 34, 23% of gays between 25 and 34 are in couples. 35 to 44 gay men, 21% of those men are in a couple. 45 to 54, it drops down to 17%. And then it keeps dropping down to 65 and above. Only 13% of gay males are in couples. And that, to me, I was like, I, I did. I don't get it. I thought everyone was married. Again, everyone in my circle is married, and I know you are not. And we are not, Scott and I are not bar people, so we don't go out and see, people who are single and who are not. And so it even made me think a little bit farther. And I wanted to ask you, as a friend, but also to kind of just educate me. Have you ever thought about being married? Is that something you would want to do?
So here's an interesting thing, because I've been an activist my whole life.
Right.
In the 80s and the 90s, I was always having the conversation, even with people who I was dating, that marriage was my goal.
Okay.
And some of them were like, well, that's never going to happen. We have domestic partnerships. That's the best we could hope for. And I'm like, yeah, that's not the best I'm hoping for. I will be married. I want to be married. And oddly enough, never happened. And seriously, I was one of the very few people in the 80s. I can remember this party during the summer at a beach house down at the shore, and all these gay men, and a conversation came up about gay marriage. And some of them were so unbelievably hostile against it.
Wow.
Like, how can you even bring that up? Why should we, we're never going to have that. And I'm like, well, we're never going to have it because of that attitude. I believe we should. We deserve that. There is nothing different from our relationship to a straight relationship. So I do think about that a lot often, and how ironic it is that I was like, I want to be married. And here I am single. So, but I think maybe the reason it declines is because of the relationships that I have had. And two in particular, which ironically enough were back to back. They sort of bled into each other. Really changed who I was in a very good way, because for the first time in my life, I looked at this person, and maybe one day we'll get into the dynamic of this relationship, when I ended it, because it was so toxic and just so awful. And I remember this moment, it was like a lightning bolt struck me in the head and split me open, where I looked at him, and this wasn't coming from a place of arrogance. I just said, you are so not worth this.
Ooh.
And it was the first time in my life I believed I deserved better than that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now I have zero tolerance for bullshit. If somebody lies to me once, that is all you get. And that's been a challenge for me.
Right.
And, I'm not a bar person either, because I really don't drink, and drunk people get on my nerves. And a lot of single gay men drink a lot.
Yeah.
Because the bar environment's a challenging environment to deal with. And, through the course of that moment of ending that relationship, was the beginning of me needing any substances to sort of numb myself, because it put me on this road to healing all those scars and unpacking a lot of baggage. And the more I took care of my inner demons, those things that I used as crutches just fell away. There was never a conscious decision, because people ask me all the time when I say I don't drink, oh, you're in program? And I think programs are hugely beneficial. But you can choose not to drink just because it doesn't serve a purpose. Right. And for me, It doesn't serve a purpose anymore.
Do you think, because this was a thought also in doing my research, just reading all about gay marriage and who's getting married, I kind of feel that there is also a reason why the decline as the age groups go to who is coupled, who is married. When we were younger, and we are the over 50 crowd, there was never the example out there for us to see, oh, you can be in a couple, you can be in a committed relationship as a gay man. And so not having that to look at, or something to strive for. If that's what you want. Not everyone wants that. I get that. But I do believe that because that was not out there, a lot of older gay men never strived for that or never felt that they were worthy of it, or that's something that they wanted. Where now these people in their 30s, they've been watching. My husband and I have been together longer than they've been alive. So they have seen us out there. And Scott and I have made it a point to be out there and show young gay males that this is a choice. You don't have to choose it, but being married, being in a committed relationship is a possibility if that's something that you want. So do you think maybe that's it, that we just didn't have that for our generations to see?
Yeah, role models are hugely important.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I do think that that's probably part of it, because again, when I said I was talking about getting married,
Right.
you know, I was like attacked, and you know, people were throwing that line at me. Well, you're buying into the heterosexual norm, and I'm like, actually, no, I'm not. I
Right.
want to share my life with somebody, and it has nothing to do with them. It's just how I feel, and to me, a marriage is a commitment between two people in front of friends and family, hopefully. Back then, family was not even in the equation,
Sure.
but now it is. That it, you know, when you make a commitment and say something out loud, it takes on a different meaning. And then when you fortify that commitment in front of other people, you now have a community that supports that. To me, that's what marriage has always been.
Well, okay, I see that. However, my husband, Scott and I, made that commitment 20 years before, even more than that, before we were allowed to stand in front of people and make the commitment legal, you know. So I feel marriage is so much more than just the ceremony, just so much more than saying it out loud. Marriage is so much fucking work. I mean, it is hard. Hard.
How do you feel?
You know,
How you feel about it?
it's hard.
Okay, I wasn't clear on that.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Is that what you're saying?
It's a little hard. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it takes a lot of work. You have to really have the guts to be in it and stay in it. In fact, I was driving home. Oh, well, of course, I was with my husband because we're attached at the hip. No, that's not true. But we do everything together. That's part of why we've lasted this long. We do like to be around each other and do like to include each other in our lives. But we were on our way home from dinner the other night, and I saw this guy on a bike, gay guy my age, so over 50, on a bike, and he was trying to figure out which way to go. And in my head, I'm thinking, God, that must be so nice to just be able to just go wherever you want. And then I look over at Scott and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'd have to say like, okay, I'm going for a bike ride. I'll be back. Not that, not that that's what life is about. But when you do marry somebody, you have other feelings to always consider. There is always that other person that, whatever decisions you make has to be included. You have to think of that person. So yeah, marriage is a lot of work, but for a lot of us, it's worth the work. And I do feel strongly that we need to be out there to show this younger generation. So more people like those on Family Karma, feel like, yeah, this is something that I want in life. And look at those guys. They've been together for 35. I swear, I look at my friends who've been together for 48 and it's like, unbelievable to me. It's just,
I really do think that's the greatest thing in the world.
Incredible, especially if you go back when they first got together. Yeah. What was happening in the world? Nothing positive towards a gay relationship. So those guys are the ones who had been through a lot. So, but also, I'm pretty sure I told you this. We had met at a dinner party because that's what we do. We go to dinner parties. And then we had them to one of our parties, this couple, an interracial couple, Robert Compton and David Wilson. who are, they live part-time in Palm Springs and part-time in Provincetown, but they are like rock stars to me because they are, in 2003, there were 7 gay couples that sued the state of Massachusetts to get the right to marry, which started everything. And Robert and David were one of these 7 couples. Just the fact to take that on, and these were not 2 guys that were, out there stomping and whatever, a dentist and a businessman, really lovely men, but they took that on for all of us. Which is why I look at these like really sweet men and think like, you two are frickin' rock stars.
Yeah, they are in my eyes as well.
Right.
I mean, you know how I am politics wise. Yeah.
Right.
That's amazing. I really want to meet them the next time they're in town, just as an FYI.
They are in town. I'll have a dinner party. But here's the rub, Michael. If I have a dinner party, then we have to find another single guy because, everybody's in twos and you'll disrupt my table setting. So I've got to find either another.
Stick me at the head.
I'm sorry. That's my place. I'll stick you in the head.
So then,
actually, you could serve for us, Michael. You could be our.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Anyway, so yes, I'm understanding more why there are less and less married men over the age of 50. I get it, and I also get that it's a lot of work, and you don't want to really put that into it, especially. You get this, I'm sure. You've been single for a very long time. You get set in your ways. You get it's very hard to then couple. But
believe it or not, I am at my most comfortable when I'm like dating someone steady.
Oh, that's awesome.
I really am. I always have been.
Cool.
Which again is the ironic thing about the way my life is. The path I've wound up on is that. It's been a goal of mine, but for some reason, the universe is like, yeah, not yet. When I'll be 87 and
Well, Michael,
no teeth.
You know how I entertain. I can throw a hell of a wedding reception. I mean, I'm already in my head figuring out what the flowers are going to look like on the table.
Awesome.
So get to work, find that man so that I can.
You have to find another person to invite to your dinner party, right?
I do.
Okay.
All right. So it'll be a goal.
We
for
need
both
help.
Of ours.
Us single folk need help from you guys. Just saying.
Okay, fantastic. So before that happens, you get to LA. You go see Cocaine Bear. You report back on how crazy and silly that is. Yes. We will keep our eye on Nikki Haley, an Indian woman who wants to take away all gay rights, and. Check out next week, Family Karma. It's the big wedding. I can't wait. I'm very excited about that.
You know what? You're going to have to tell me where I can find it because I will definitely watch it.
It's on Bravo.
We could talk about that next week, and I will be because I don't watch reality, but I will make a point to watch it.
Yeah, Bravo. I mean, I'm not big on the Real Housewives franchises, but the Below Deck franchises, hello, I love those shows. And then Family Karma, it's all great. They're all great.
All right, I will take your word.
Okay, so
you love those. I love my horror and my black comedies and my Cocaine Bear.
So now tell me something that you don't love, because it's time for our savage side eye. I want to hear who's crawling up your craw this week.
So who happens to be stuck in my craw this week is I can't say the entire state of Iowa because not everyone there is a Republican, but Republicans in Iowa and politicians in Iowa, because they're doing this wonderful thing, this bill that was just introduced to, they want to get rid of child labor laws and allow 14 to 17-year-olds to work in environments like meat packing and mining and steel cutting and steel molding, which are incredibly dangerous environments. And I was looking to roll that back. I mean, this Republican Party really does want to go back to the 19th century.
Yeah.
and have any minority out of sight. Let's get the kids back to work because, they're slacking. Um, and yeah, when I heard this, I honestly thought it was a joke. So I had to do my due diligence and sort of tune into what was happening. And yeah, so, there'll be a 14-year-old with 3 less fingers because he missed with the cleaver and lost some fingers. Or he'll have black lung disease at the age of 17, which is always something to look forward to, from going down in the mines.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Isn't that fun?
No,
So
that's not.
Yeah.
So this is why I watch reality television.
Yeah, and this is why I watch Cocaine Bear.
Okay. Well, there
horror
you go.
movies. At midnight, I'm watching the worst horror movies and these giant sharks, shark versus octopuses, and stuff like that. Because after a day of news, it's just suffocating.
Fantastic.
And do you have any side eye to give this week?
No, I think let's just keep it all at Iowa, and I want to be happy this week. So I would like all of you people out there that are listening to us to let us know what you think about what's happening in the world. Let us know what you think you'd like us to talk about, or your thoughts on gay marriage. If you're a guy over 50, why are you married or why are you not married? Fill me in. Let me, keep educating us. You can send us emails at no2gaysabout it, and that's the number 2 gaysabout it at gmail.com. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram. Michael's going to put up a photo of his Xanadu tattoo. And let me just, a little sidebar here. I have absolutely no tattoos. Just, again, the odd couple. That's who we are.
And Michael is covered.
And Michael is covered in tattoos, which, the more we learn about Michael, the more he will be putting these photos up there. Also, Michael and I and my husband had dinner the other night. We went to a new Italian restaurant. I just check out our Instagram to see the two of us at this restaurant. Michael needed a little help with his napkin, so I helped him out.
Yes, because I was making a mess with my spaghetti.
And God forbid anyone make a mess in my wherever I am. Anyway, so follow us on Instagram. Also Facebook. You can see the same photos up on Facebook. We're at No 2 Gays About It. And please remember that it's 2, the number 2 gays about it. So let us know how all of you over 50s are dealing with your life.
And hey, single men out there.
No, this is not a dating site, Michael. You have
Why not?
You have plenty of those. Michael, we have a really exciting thing that I would like you to tell people, because we're not only really interesting to look or to listen to, but we are awesome to look at. And how can people do that?
Well, I would never say that regarding myself, but yes, Tom is awesome to look at. I have a face for radio. But join us over on Patreon / No 2 Gays About It. And you will get to see the video of us as we're sitting here chatting and doing our thing and making strange faces at each other and giving each other the side eye sometimes. And yeah, if you become a patron on Patreon, there are different levels, and depending on the level you choose, you get access to our early podcasts, and we're going to be adding some more stuff in the future. One of them is if we hit 25 Patreon members, Tom's going to go bowling with me. And if you listen to one of our last shows, that's going to be freaking awesome.
Do I have to wear the shoes, Michael?
Yes, you do.
Oh, man.
Now, there is a pro shop at the bowling alley, so you could buy your own if you don't want other people's feet on yours.
No, I am never going back to a bowling alley. But
you know what? Never
I do want to coordinate my outfit, though. Well, okay. Maybe I will. We'll see. So, yeah,
you never know.
Sign up for Patreon and make me go bowling.
And what are we going to do at 100, Tom?
We're going to figure that out later. First, I just need to get through bowling first.
We got to get you through bowling, and then there's going to be a big surprise of what I'm going to do when we hit 100, which I'm really afraid of, but what the hell?
Yeah. So find us on Patreon. It's really simple. If you're on your podcast, we're in the link is in the show liner notes. But also, if you enjoyed listening to us, please tell your friends to listen to us as well. We would love to invite everyone out there, all of our over 50 gay males, as well as our allies and the younger gays. We have a lot to teach these guys. So, for all of you out there, thanks for joining us at No Two Gays About It, where every voice, every opinion, and every age group matters. So now get out there, all of you, and join the conversations, and please let your voices be heard. Until then, Michael.
Thanks for listening.